Hey everybody, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad here with Doug.
Hello.
Doug got to spend some time at PAX East. Yeah, it's
Yes.
East. I'm bad at directions. PAX East this past weekend, and you got to finally sit down and play a game that I am eagerly anticipating, which is Detroit Become Human.
Yes, I basically played this because I knew you wanted to,
I
and not because like ha 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 I get to play this. But I
got
was
to
like,
play this, and you did it.
I feel like if I said Brad, I saw Detroit and did not play it, you would be like, I'm not. You'd not be
I would have been
happy.
very pissed. Yes, it would not have gone well for you. So I guess I'm just curious, like, what did you play? Because there's been a couple demos that have been out that we've seen a lot of. So is this
Yeah,
was this something new or was it just one of those demos again?
it was the one I've actually seen the most of, which is the hostage one,
The rooftop with the kid.
the rooftop with the kid one. Yeah,
Okay, cool. So when you played this, did you
yeah,
start through like the whole detective phase? Because like they've shown in the past where he goes into like kind of the room, you got to find the clues, and then you end up on the rooftop. Correct?
yes, that was yes.
So you
So
got to
I
play
mean,
that whole scene.
yes, I did.
So I guess my question is well, I have many questions. So I'm super excited about this game.
Yeah.
But I guess my main thing is so when you actually start this out, when you're investigating, does it
Yeah.
actually feel like what you're doing has a purpose? Because I feel like sometimes in Quantic Dream games,
Mhm.
that kind of stuff just gets pushed to the side and it's just like you did some shit, now you have a choice to make. Does that stuff actually feel like it's influencing it? Because I know there's like some progress bars and things like that and percentages and all these weird
Yeah.
numbers that kind of play into it. How does that whole piece feel?
So okay, that is like that is a weirdly a lot to unpack.
Yes, I
Um,
assumed, but please do.
so okay, I guess first of all to kind of start is I watched people play this demo before I played it, and then the actual act of playing it feels much more intense than actually watching it. Like I will say, like you can watch all you want of Detroit, but you are definitely not getting the feeling of making those decisions moment to moment. Um, so I guess your question is like, does your decisions matter? Does it feel like your decisions matter?
Not even your
Um,
decisions, just your actions. Like, do the actions in the lead up matter? Because your decisions, like
yeah.
obviously on the rooftop, matter. I think they've showed that off well. I'm just thinking, like, does it actually matter that you walked over and looked at? I think it's a fish tank or something like that that's in that demo. Does that
Yeah,
actually matter?
yeah. It's some of the things feel like they do, and some of the things feel like they don't. Like they definitely make it very clear that there is a timer over your head. They also make it very clear that the actions that you are taking will help in um in the final like showdown or whatever, like where you actually
Mm-hmm.
need to talk with the guy. So it is very interesting because it feels like as you're going around, like you know that the actions you're doing are because there's like that literal percentage meter of like your success rate essentially is kind of going up and down as you're going around.
Yeah.
Um, so I would say like just immediately it does feel like the things that I'm doing are very important because I'm clearly getting more information for this negotiation that's going on. It is also very, very clear that if I keep doing this, people are going to die. Um, because what's happening, I don't know if because I feel like people did not mention this during this. One of the ways they indicate that your timer is slowly going down, besides it literally says every second counts and like your
Yeah.
percentage is going down, is that people in the room you're in are getting shot.
What?
like,
By
yeah.
who?
So what they do is like so I think the scene. So I guess to set up the whole scene is like so you walk in this apartment. There is currently a android who has taken a girl hostage, and the police officers have sort of taken over the apartment,
Mm-hmm.
and he's out on like sort of the deck area. Um, so the cops, so like the whole SWAT's there, and like you're saying, they're trying to investigate the scene as the SWAT is in there, kind of like slowly taking position, like all have their guns pointed at this guy. But he's like shooting at the cops,
Oh
like
my gosh.
so like every once in a while. So like I was sitting there not aware of this, and like so I had the headphones on, and all of a sudden you hear a very loud gunshot, and like an officer goes down, like oh god, he's gone down, like they pull him back into the house and stuff. Um,
That is awesome.
yeah. So it's like, so it's not like clearly like, oh, there's timers going down. Like eventually, if I wait long enough, something will happen. It's like things are happening as this timer is going down. So it's like, so the things that are kind of like going on are, so like somebody's getting shot, your percentage are going up and down, and then you're like trying to figure out the story, and like then you're like, okay, I think I have enough of this story figured out of why this guy is doing this to go out. And like when I played it, I went out there with like 70% confidence because I was like,
Yeah.
shit, I'm just like running out of time. When my girlfriend played it, she went out with like 50% confidence, which was because she was just getting really stressed out. She's like, I got to get out there. And it is kind of interesting. Like, I think some of the things, some of the clues you get are more important than others, but you just don't know. So I guess from this point forward, do you mind if I spoil what my playthrough was?
Not at all.
Okay. I guess do you have any more questions going
Yeah, I
before
guess
I start
before you
digging
get
into
to
it?
the kind
Yeah.
of the decision showdown part,
Yeah.
you hate numbers in games more than like anybody else I know. Does
Yeah.
that progress bar piss you off? Because
Oh no,
that is my
because
concern.
they 100% justify it within the universe. Like you are an android,
Okay.
clearly. There's some very very cool androidy things. Like to me, I don't like numbery stuff if it doesn't make sense. In this, it is your character calculating what they think the likelihood of this outcome is.
Gotcha. So it's more of that, like, okay, as my android knows what kind of information needs because that's its programming versus just like your sword is plus 71 for no
Oh
apparent
yeah,
reason.
no,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It's
That
all
makes me feel
very,
better. Okay.
yeah. Oh, it's
All right.
very very well justified. Um,
So you get out on the
so,
roof.
huh?
So you get out on the roof.
Actually, well, the important part was what I did before I got on the roof. Is that there is what happens during the scene is that the android has killed the family and taken the little girl hostage, and he doesn't immediately kill the little girl because the little girl was his friend.
Yep.
He was essentially like their nanny.
Yep.
Um, but what happens is you find the gun that he used to kill the family, and I decide to take the gun. And it's funny, as you're taking the gun, there's like a little thing that pops up because you're seeing through your character's eyes essentially. There's this whole thing as you're grabbing the gun. It has like you are in violation of code 561 about androids being weaponized.
Ooh.
Yeah. So like your act of grabbing but it's like really quick too. Like does it matter? I don't know. But like as I grab the gun, you see this like big warning flash across the screen. It's like you're in violation of whatever act. And like he puts the gun in his pocket and he's like looking around, making sure nobody saw him do it. So you're like,
So
oh,
cool.
yeah, like little character thing. So basically, I had done everything. Like basically, what I had found out was that he was going to be replaced, and the reason he was being replaced is because there was a malfunction in his hardware, which you can or cannot bring up during the confrontation. So right now I'm at 70% confidence that I can do this. And I'd
Yeah.
seen a bunch of other people's playthrough, and I was like, I wonder, and I kind of want to test to see how much I could and could not mess with. So I walked out onto the booth, onto the deck area, and he has a little girl hostage. And one of the things that's kind of interesting is that you actually need to walk towards him slowly. If you walk during fast, he'll find that aggressive, and like your percentage will go down. So you have to like approach him slowly. Like it says, like
So good.
you do, yeah. And then some of the things that you found out, like the first thing I did is like I knew his name, so I said, "Hi, Daniel," and he's like, "It's like, how do you know my name?" He's like, and then you say, "Oh, I know a lot about you." Um, and as you're approaching him, the things that you have picked up don't always help what you did because, like, okay, say the fact like I knew that he was busted or broken, like there's something wrong with the software. I told him that, and he was like offended. Like he's like, no, these are the real emotions that I'm feeling. Like, how dare you say that these are a glitch, even though they actually might be.
Yeah.
So like my percentage of like it like dropped down as he said that. Like so your character is like realizing that he screwed up. If you help, there's the person who's been shot on the roof. If you help the person who's been shot, your percentages go down because you're an android because he is an android who thinks humans
Yeah.
are trying to throw him away, and he sees you helping a guy. So the act of you helping the guy is
Decrease. Oh, so...
decreases it. And one of the things that since I grabbed the gun, he asked if you're armed. So I lied. I said I'm not armed. And as you're getting closer and closer and closer, and there's a scene that everybody gets where like a helicopter kind of zooms in,
yeah,
and like immediately drops it down like 10 points. So there's clearly some manipulation that they're doing with those percentages. Like whether or not they actually matter, I don't know. It definitely to feed these kind of choice games, it doesn't matter as long as the illusion of the choice is there. So it did feel like the scene immediately got tense. Like I was at 70, I walk out, the helicopter zooms by, and it drops down 20 points. You're like, oh well, shit.
Should have that fish tank again.
Yeah. So as I'm creeping closer, he's getting it's not getting near 100%. Like it's actually dropping. Like my whole conversation with him, even though I knew these things, like was dropping because I was basically because he was nervous. Like I was telling him these things that because I picked them up, they're now options, but they're not necessarily good options. They're bad options. Like being sympathetic was a bad option because he's like, you don't know how I feel. And he's like, well, shit, he's right. So what I decided to do is take a very aggressive stance. And as I'm creeping closer and closer and closer, an option pops up because I had taken the gun that says threaten with gun or execute. And so what I had seen a lot of people previously do was they had basically what I saw people previously do is like how they successfully got him to drop the girl was you say you trust, like he should trust you, he drops the girl and then sniper shoot him.
Hmm.
And what happened was I got that option, but like as it got closer, I had this option that said threaten with gun or execute.
Yeah.
And what I had done is like I was like, well, I lied to him about having the gun. So if I threaten him with it, he's going to know that I've been lying this whole time
Yep.
and maybe drop it. So I did execute. And your character whips out the gun like really, really fast and shoots the guy like immediately in the head. And he drops the girl and like he falls off the thing. And like as he's falling off the thing, it says like mission successful.
Nice.
One of the other options that I had seen play out was do you want me to ruin like kind of some of the endings I saw?
I've honestly like I've seen that play out like 4 different ways at this point. So
okay, well, like
I feel like the
like,
scene has been ruined so many times. And they keep like, we're just gonna ruin this one scene over and over again to prove a point.
yeah, and like one of the other ones that he tackles him off the building, and it's very cool because as you were both falling off the building, like your character kind of like turns around like as he's falling and he's like looking up and it says like mission successful right before you hit the pavement.
Oh, that's so cool.
I didn't actually see one where the little girl died. So like the entire time I was like watching other people play, like
Yeah.
I know that's an option. So I don't know if for like the demo they made it easier or harder. Because like my girlfriend went out there with like 50% and she was still successful.
Mhm.
So to me that's kind of like, okay, they're clearly manipulating these percentages. Like they're not totally telling you the truth, but was it for the sake of this demo that
Yeah.
you know they had a higher success rate,
Well,
which I can see.
And I
Yeah.
could see too, like,
Yeah.
okay, you just killed a little girl. That's your first and only experience with this game. Is gonna turn some people off. Where it's like,
yeah,
we're
exactly.
gonna disable that option for the demo because we don't. That's not the
Yeah.
taste we want to leave in everybody's mouth when you walk away. So I can
Exactly. Yeah, and when you're done, they actually show you like a huge decision tree that
yeah, the one
as
they
it
showed in
plays
the
out.
trailer when they like pull out and all the things kind of flash up and everything.
Yeah, yeah. So they actually show. So I actually got to see like you could see all the endings that people had done previously
Nice.
before you, and the decision trees that got to
That's
it.
pretty cool. Does it? So I guess kind of to wrap this up, does it actually give you the feeling that like there are implications of every single move you make? So that's what they're really selling it on, is that feeling that you get where, you know, you're playing a Telltale game or you're playing Heavy Rain or you're playing whatever other choice-based game where
Yeah.
you kind of you mentioned the illusion of choice.
Yeah, yeah.
Does this keep that illusion of choice, or does it actually give you that real stressful feeling of these things matter? And you said you didn't see anybody fail, so seeing that, does
Yeah.
that actually make, like, I guess what I'm looking for is like thinking back on it, what was your feeling playing this? Did it feel like you really had full control? Like I'm thinking like an Until Dawn where there feels like you can just do anything and anything's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, and
is it
like
more
you're the plot armor sort of thing. Did it feel like my character or the
Yeah.
decisions I had some sort of armor to them?
Yes.
It definitely felt like I succeeded because I had done the correct thing. Like I had investigated properly. I had lied to him correctly. I had done things that we are not normally, which are like gray decisions, kind of like they're
Yeah.
not like I shot him, like not something an investigator would be doing.
Yeah.
I lied to him, and that was the successful mission. So it definitely felt like in the moment that like the decisions I was doing like definitely mattered. It definitely felt like I guess at the end like there are only 6 options. I guess the question is less like did they felt like in the moment they mattered. I guess the question is now going forward that my character shot him, does that decision matter? To me that's the more decision. That's more
Yeah,
important.
I get what you're saying, and I think that's
Yeah.
where one of those things where, because this game, the way they've shown it feels almost like different. I can't think of the word, short stories,
Yeah.
more so than like one cohesive plot, like you've had in other ones where it's an
Yeah.
overarching universe, but each individual scene seems to kind of take its own step there. I guess my last thought is, does it feel like it's steering you in a direction? Like having that success rate, does that make it feel like there is a correct option? Because I feel like sometimes in choice games you get that like good ending, bad ending, good choice, bad choice. Or is this more like you said, that gray area of there's multiple success ways and the game's not saying this is success way A, this is success way B, this is success way C, and you really
Yeah.
want to get that A, but C's fine too.
No, it definitely felt like because well, I guess it depends, like because I think I was kind of saying before, I think the most important thing is like what is the next step after my
Yeah.
character has done this thing? How does that implicate? Because I think like getting to those one of 6 endings, that felt very satisfying. I think like once that major decision is made, how does that fit into the rest of it? So I mean, I don't know. It all felt satisfying because the mission successful thing like pops up, like
Yeah,
just because and it feels like they felt vastly different. And even though something might have gone wrong, like I sacrificed myself, it definitely didn't feel like the ending where he sacrificed himself. It's a decision you make. It's
yeah,
not like you screwed up, now you have to sacrifice yourself. It's
yeah.
the it feels like you sort of chose your way to that ending as
Gotcha.
opposed to I screwed up and got to that ending, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
no, that makes complete sense. I think that's kind of what a lot of these games tend to fall into.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely doesn't feel like I did the wrong decision by executing him. I think it was actually more interesting than like saving my like you. I was like, oh well, I'm curious how this is going to ripple forward because I felt like that was a more interesting decision
Yeah,
than the even the good guy, even like the best decision is like the other guy gets shot by snipers and so as he's dying, he says, "You lied to me." It's like,
yeah. So you still got that, like, oh god, like what?
yeah, I
That
don't
little
know.
bit
Is
of
that the
guilt in
best
there.
one? I have no idea. Like none of
Okay.
them felt. They all felt good. None of them felt right. It felt like the right
Ooh,
decision, if that makes sense. You know?
that is a perfect place to leave this because that's
Yeah.
exactly what I want from this game.
Yeah. I
They
was
all
actually
feel
excited for
good,
this
but
game when I was
nothing good.
done with it. I was like, oh, I might actually get this.
I am so excited for these games. I love. They're so like weird and. Speaking of somebody who loves these Quantic Dream games, they're so dumb, but I
Yeah. Oh
love
yeah.
them so much.
This the thing that's really bad is this one actually felt very smart and clever, and I'm like, oh no, they're
You can't pull 12 hours of this.
no, that's the worst part is sometimes they get it really right, which makes the parts that they get it wrong seem so wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we are Workforce Gaming. You can follow us on Twitter at Workforce Gaming or subscribe to us on whatever you're listening to, and we will see you later.
Bye.